A short time ago in a galaxy nearby, a podcast was made to inspire and entertain. Casual Space. Making space available, one story at a time. Your host with grace, Beth Mund.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on Casual Space, where my special guest is Josh Haynes. You know him from Uplift Aerospace, and today we're going to be discussing some major milestones that have been recently accomplished with both the Stories of Space project and the most incredible patch journey and story and narrative journey that you've ever heard of. Thanks to you, Josh, and your efforts at Uplift. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Beth. Yeah, we have some, I would say, amazing updates.
So at the end of 2025, we had the wonderful invitation extended to us at Stories of Space, Josh. It was so kind of you and Uplift Aerospace and Sian Proctor to invite us to come along and submit our database of stories to you for this incredible lunar mission. And we had a very short deadline that you so kindly extended that just worked in our favor. And let me tell you, for those of you who are discovering us for the first time or listening and following our journey, we doubled our database. So we already had our existing legacy database of stories that have been sent into us from missions 1 through 5. And then for this particular mission, our 6th, because of you, Josh, and because of your very powerful and wonderful extended invitation, we were able to double our database, and a whole new group of storytellers, along with all of the original stories, got to be included on this mission. So that's where we left it at the end of the year. Thank you again. And then once those stories were submitted from us at Stories of Space, they got to you and your team there at Uplift. And now it's time to give everyone this precious update and the milestones we've reached since.
Yeah, it's first, Beth, it's just so nice to be able to join you and give an update. And we love having Stories of Space as part of this mission. The real hope from the beginning, and I probably shared this before, but we want this to be an archive of humanity right now at this moment in time. And specifically, our goal is to get people to be hopeful for the future. So we were able to collect 3,200 and I believe 37 messages. Let me verify. Yeah, 3,237 messages from students, teachers, and then with Stories of Space from communities all around the world to be able to capture this moment in time. And all of these messages have now been laser engraved into what's called a 5D crystal. And what's awesome about that is the most advanced archival material that exists today. So what that means is it can last, in the lab, they say it could last for millions of years in space. And so it really is a way for us to share hopes and dreams for the future. It was a way for us to get students thinking and learning all about what's happening right now in the space industry, potential amazing jobs they could look at, but I think most importantly, just helping them realize that the future is exciting and it's bright, something that they can be hopeful about. And we've really been seeing that. So hopefully that was something also your community felt as they came together and put together their messages and stories that they wanted to share.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, they sure did. They came out in droves, and all ages too, not just, you know, we mentioned students, and I know there was a lot that you got to meet in person and work through your workshops that you offer. That was so, I'm sure, quite an incredible experience. It's so great when you can see them face to face. And for us at Stories, they were from storytellers from all over the world. So of all ages, of all languages, and those have now since been delivered. So I will put up a picture of this beautiful 5D crystal where you can actually see Dr. Sian Proctor's beautiful artwork and the patch that she's created representing this mission, along with very small, it looks like segmented parts and fragments of these data points. And people have asked me, like, if I have a really small microscope, will I be able to read my story? And I don't quite think that would work, but this is a good question. Could you guide us through what happened when the stories left our database and got digitally turned over and sent to you, and how you then took all of them and how they went into the etching onto this 3D, 5D crystal?
Yeah, so maybe first, what is a 5D crystal?
Yeah.
And because that's a common question. So the idea is that, normally what we understand as like 3D is that forward, backward, left, right, up, down, essentially is like our 3 dimensions that we live and work in and move around in. But with a 5D crystal, they're able to use in the lab what's called a femtosecond laser. They're actually able to modify the atomic structure. So they're able to slightly change, say like an atom, change the direction of the atom inside of the crystal. So you could think of it this way or this way. And so there's those extra dimensions they can add in and use for data storage. And that's why it makes it such an incredible archival material, is because crystal structures are already extremely stable. So they work really well for saving information, because that information won't go corrupt. Like data tapes in the data centers, I think those last for about 20-ish years before some of the, from like, on Earth we have air with oxygen in it, and oxygen is really reactive. So I assume that's one of the things, is just stuff starts to degrade over time. But in space and on these crystals, this information can last, and that's why they say potentially millions of years. It's because of the atomic structure of a crystal, and then they're able to modify the actual atoms with these lasers and change the direction that they're pointing, and get so much information inside a small space.
Yeah.
So I think
It's
this
incredible.
crystal here is probably about the size of a quarter, and they can store terabytes of information on them. So it's really amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. So we have a picture of the actual crystal here that you were able to share with us. Thank you. And walk us through what we're seeing.
Yeah, so once everybody sent us all their messages, we put them all together, and we wanted the crystal to be more than just sort of like a data storage device. We wanted it to have this beautiful aesthetic to it. So we worked with our team and designers to design the outside etching of the crystal. And like you said, Beth, there are a few things that are really cool you can point out there. So one, and the first most important, is Dr. Sian Proctor. She is playing such an important role in this project. Her and I really came together from the very beginning and envisioned what this could be. And then we created this project together. So a big shout out to Sian first and foremost. And her role has been to be the inspiration and the art behind the project and really bringing it together. So she's taken all the messages we've collected from students and teachers and turned it into an art piece in a mission patch. You can see there, if you look really closely, you can see words, and those words are actually coming from a word cloud of all of the student and teacher messages. And then she collected the top words used from that and then integrated that into this art piece. And that art piece is now also the mission patch for our mission. So really cool piece of the story is Sian's involvement, Sian's vision, and how she's integrating arts into a very STEM focused project. And then the other components on it you see are sort of these blocks of, if you zoom in really close, actually what become words. And those are actually everybody's messages. So it's actually true. If you have a powerful enough microscope, you could zoom in far enough and read some of that. And then also within the crystal, sort of within the volume of the crystal, all of the data itself is stored. So you could think of it like files, just like we write files to a CD, or that type of process is used in these crystals where you're saving all the file information. So you can see it because of how we designed it. You can read it, but also it's stored within the crystal itself.
And so small, a size of a quarter.
Yeah. So it's, and that's, we could use a lot more actually of that crystal space to store a lot more information. So that's where we're at now, though. So to your next question is, what has been the process? Is we were able to take all those messages, design them, send them to the lab. It's a lab in Switzerland that creates these crystals. and then get everything laser inscribed. And then it went through a process of getting shipped back to the US, went through customs, went through the whole ordeal, and then finally made it to Astrolab. And Astrolab is the other really important partner in this whole project and the ones making it possible. So we're so grateful for them, particularly Kelly Randall. She works on their business development side. Amos also came in, and Kelly and Amos from Astrolab have been the team leaders, I would say, who said, looked at Sian and my crazy idea of, hey, can we create this archive of humanity and send it to the moon? And then they said, yeah, we have our flip mission. The flip rover is going to the moon in 2026, and we'd love to help push this forward because of the mission and the educational aspects. And so they came, and they've now supported it fully. So it's been a privilege to work with them. But this crystal is now, as of March 2nd, was integrated onto the Flip rover. So that's big news that our mission is actually now attached to a rover that's launching to the moon this year.
It is. It's phenomenal. It's very, very exciting. I am about to bring up a picture of that, and perhaps you can show us where it's located on the rover after I put this picture forward. Here it is. And you were kind enough to share this with us, and I want to thank you and the team again at Astrolab. Here it is.
Yeah, and they do such an incredible job. I think they're companies where you can see the culture very matches the mission of that. The reason we go to space is to benefit life on Earth and to improve life for everybody here. And Astrolab represents that, and that's why this mission has become such a big part of the Flip rover. If you look there, that is a big mission patch, and that is our mission patch that Sian's created, her artwork, and it's a big symbol of what this mission stands for, is this idea of benefiting life on Earth and inspiring the next generation. And we go to space, we explore so that we can improve life here on Earth. And science says this often, it's solving for space solves for Earth.
And here, for those of you perhaps listening to the episode, if you're not watching it, we are highlighting this beautiful photo from Astrolab of this Flip rover. And it is completely, it looks huge. There, to scale, there's a gentleman behind one of the wheels working in the distance. These are incredible wheels, by the way. And then we're seeing the size of this with Sian's patch in the forefront. Looking gorgeous. It's gold, it's black, it's got those story cloud. You can read the words, they're beautifully portrayed. We have the Astrolab logo and insignia there, along with NASA and Venturi Space in the front. We have some solar panels, it looks like, on the top, if I'm seeing that correctly. Is that true, Josh? Is that what I'm looking at among the foil?
I think there's going to be a almost like a cover that lifts. So I'm not sure if those are the solar panels specifically, but yes, there will be. The top section of the rover has sort of like a panel that will lift up and has the solar panels on it. And the other really exciting piece of this that we're sort of planning on, whether or not it's going to happen, is there's a camera on that same panel that lifts up, and they're going to try to get pictures of the Flip rover while it's on the moon. So with any luck, we may see the mission patch. Wow. I think the crystal is below the thermal fabric that they'll be putting on. So that will maybe be hidden from the picture, but we should be able to see this mission patch for our messages that we've put together.
Wow. It's going to be so exciting. So for those of you who are not, if you're driving or if you're listening and you're just listening to this episode, you are going to want to go and check out in the show notes. We're going to put into the show notes everything you need to check this out. We're going to put in Uplift Aerospace and a link to them. Astrolab, we'll put a photo of this in there as well, and you'll be able to see the scale and the excitement and the colors and all of the definitions here that we're referencing. So this was incredibly, so just earlier this month, the 5D crystal was placed, and I know that was a huge milestone. It's certainly made its journey. What's next for not only our crystal now that it's affixed, but also for this lunar rover before it gets launched?
Yeah, so the Flip Rover is like a Pathfinder mission. So it's in preparation for Astrolab's much larger Flex rover that they are looking to use as part of the Artemis mission. And so this is a demonstration of technology. There's going to be some research on it. There's a lot of different partners coming together with Astrolab and sort of like research payload partners, I believe. And the hope for this mission is in 2026, we launch to the moon. It's targeting the lunar South Pole. And so they're going to be launching at a time where we're not in the what's called the lunar night when it's dark all the time. So hopefully towards the middle or end of 2026, we'll be able to make it to the moon. And I think the other thing I want to add for context is why. Like, why did we put together this mission? I talked a little bit about like inspiration and capturing the moment of humanity, but a lot of people don't know the incredible moment of history that we live in today. And I just want to highlight for those who may not know is the way that humanity sees itself in the universe and our solar system, I believe, is about to change. We're going to have a really big paradigm shift. And the reason why is because our technology is finally advanced far enough to where, one, we have reusable and sustainable launch systems, meaning rockets are becoming more and more like airplanes. SpaceX recently came out and said that they want to, within the next decade, they want to have a self-sustaining and growing community on the moon. And they've also said that they expect within 1 year to be able to launch 10,000 starships. And for context, right now we can land about 2,000 pounds on the moon. Starship will be able to land 100,000 pounds on the moon. So think of that as just that scale. Within the next few years, in the next 5-10 years, we're like 100x or more the amount of mass that we can send into space, into the moon. And so this idea of becoming a spacefaring civilization, of being able to understand our place in our solar system and the universe is becoming very real. It's not just a thought anymore. It's not a plan. It is actually people are executing on it and it's happening. And so that's, I think, part of what this message stands for is we wanted students, we wanted teachers, community to realize this moment in history that we live in. And we want them to participate in it. We want them to be part of it and be excited about it and have this same type of hope and excitement for the future. So that's,
So well
I
said.
think, what this is all about. That's what we can look forward to. There's going to be more and more missions like this, more and more opportunities that we can participate in. And we're so excited to have Stories of Space as part of this moon mission.
So well said, Josh. And yes, this is just the beginning. So while this seems like, and I know you and I have personally walked the journey, a huge endeavor to collaborate and be very patient and follow timelines. And of course, we're not even talking about regulations and guidelines and all the things that it takes to access space. But that's part of the journey. And as you so wonderfully said and explained, that journey is becoming more and more accessible. It's becoming more available and it's going to happen quickly. And so I know for you and I'm not going to assume ages here, but you know, we always had the promise on the horizon of space is going to be in our future. You can get degrees, you can study it, and you're going to be there. Like you had this promise that was forever proposed to us. And we grew up, and unfortunately, and fortunately, there's only been like 500 some people who have been able to access space, those astronauts and those spacefarers and explorers. And let's also share the rovers, the equipment, the experiments, and all the things that have gone before. It's just a small amount, a very small fraction. So now that we have, as you said, this scope, this scale, companies that are supporting us like Astrolab and people who believe that our presence is not only going to happen, but it's already making like the actual tangible things that will get us there in the next decade or sooner. It is really happening. So I'm excited for this next generation. They're excited because their stories and their narratives, their dreams, their desires, and their vision of how we're going to live and survive and thrive on the moon and beyond is all right here, captured in this beautiful, beautiful project and journey in the 5D crystal that recently was placed. So everyone listening, not only please follow Josh and his team at Uplift, please, be aware and discover Astrolab if you haven't yet, and all of the things that NASA and the systems, this is part of a CLIPS, which I can again spell out. NASA loves acronyms, and I can spell all that out here in the show notes. This is, as Josh said, just a snapshot. It's a moment that has been captured, but it's not an only moment. This will continue. Opportunities like this will continue. For right now, you're going to want to watch this as it continues its journey. And you can do all that, as I'll share again in the show notes. Josh, I want to invite you back to the show because I know more milestones are coming. They're right around the corner. And as they happen, will you please come back and join us to celebrate those? And perhaps, Sian, if we can have her sit with us for a moment. I know she's so busy. And anyone who's from the Astrolab community who wants to join us as well, we would love to have you and celebrate these milestones together because it is our reflective humanities stories and visions for what we're going to be doing in the near distant future and what we're doing today that we're sharing. Josh, thank you so much. Is there anything else that I missed or that we want to share?
That was it. Thank you, Beth. So great to join you
Thank
today,
you.
and definitely look forward to joining again.
Me too. This is going to be so exciting. Every time I get to see you, it's such a pleasure because it means that big things are happening. And we'll look forward. And if there's anything else that after our conversation that Josh shares with me, I will be keeping up to date. Josh, let's talk about real quick and give everyone all the socials. Uplift Aerospace on Instagram, I know, and they can follow along. We've got press releases, photos, reports on the journey, and all kinds of things there. The website as well, if you wanted to share anything.
Yeah, we got upliftaerospace.com. Our social handles just at Uplift Aerospace, and we're on LinkedIn, X, Instagram. I think those are the main ones that we use. So yeah,
Perfect.
Please follow along on the journey.
Yes, absolutely. I'll have all that in the show notes from today's episode. Josh, thanks again for joining us, and continue to watch this space, Casual Space, Stories of Space. I'll have links to everything so you can follow as well. Thanks everyone for joining us on this
Beth.
episode. Take care.
Bye.